All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to tackle something that's, super critical in the business world, but maybe a little misunderstood: assurance services. We're going to break down what they are, who's involved, and honestly, why they're the bedrock of trust for pretty much all the financial information we rely on. So let's dive in. So, picture this. A company you're interested in, maybe one you've invested in, just drops its latest earnings report. And wow, it's a blockbuster. Record profits, amazing growth, everything's pointing up. But there's that little voice in the back of your head, right? It's asking, are these numbers for real? How do I know this isn't just creative accounting? That fundamental question of trust, that's where our story begins. And that is exactly where assurance services come into play. They are the entire professional system designed to tackle that doubt head on. They exist to give people like you and me real confidence in the information we use to make pretty big decisions. They're the answer to that nagging question, can I actually believe this?
Okay, so let's start at square one. What exactly is an assurance engagement? When you strip it all down, it's really about one thing: building a foundation of confidence.
Okay, I know, this looks a little academic, but stick with me, because every piece of this definition is crucial. First, you have a practitioner. That's your independent professional. Their job is to express a conclusion. The whole goal? To boost the confidence of intended users. That could be us as investors. And they do this by evaluating a subject matter, say a company's financial statements, against a set of criteria, which are basically the rules of the road. We're going to unpack all of these.
One of the best ways to understand what assurance is to see what it isn't. Assurance services are all about credibility. The final product is an independent opinion, and it's always this three-party dance: the professional, the company, and the user. Non-assurance services, on the other hand, are more like consulting. The goal is to give recommendations or help out, and it's usually just a two-way street between the professional and their client. Big difference. Yeah, that three-party relationship, it's not just a minor detail, it's the absolute heart of how assurance works. So let's meet the cast of characters, because each one has a very specific role to play in this whole ecosystem of trust. First up, you've got the practitioner. Think of them as the independent umpire, the CPA firm that comes in to make the call. Then you have the responsible party. That's the company, the management team that actually prepared the information and is responsible for it. And finally, you've got the intended users. That's us, the investors, the banks, the regulators, anyone who is going to use that report to make a decision. It really is a triangle of accountability. All right, so we know who's involved. Now, what exactly are they looking at, and what are they measuring it against? This is where we get into the real nuts and bolts of the whole thing. Now, here's a subtle but super important distinction. The subject matter is the actual thing being looked at. Like, for example, a company's internal system for preventing fraud. The subject matter information, on the other hand, is the claim the company makes about that thing. It's the statement from management that says, yes, our fraud prevention system is effective. The practitioner's job is to test that claim.
So how do you judge if a claim is fair? Well, you need a measuring stick, a yardstick, right? In the assurance world, we call that criteria. These are the standards or rules, like generally accepted accounting principles. But for the conclusion to mean anything, these criteria have to be good. They have to be relevant to the topic, complete, reliable, neutral, and easy enough for people to understand. I mean, without a good yardstick, any measurement is pretty useless.
Okay, this is so important. This kind of work is not just a mechanical, box-checking exercise. Far from it. It takes a very particular professional mindset and a deep, deep understanding of risk.
And this quote, this gets right to the heart of that mindset. It's all about professional skepticism. Now, that doesn't mean being a cynic who doesn't trust anyone. Not at all. It means you maintain a questioning mind. You challenge what you're told. You're always looking for evidence that might contradict the official story. It's the professional version of trust but verify.
A huge, and I mean huge, part of a practitioner's job is managing something called assurance engagement risk. And what is that? In plain English, it's the risk of getting it wrong. It's the risk of issuing a clean report when in reality, there's a major problem hiding in the numbers. It's the one thing they work tirelessly to minimize. And this risk really has three main parts. First, there's inherent risk. That's just the raw probability that a mistake could happen just because things are complex. Then there's control risk. That's the risk that the company's own safety nets, their internal controls, failed to catch that mistake. And finally, there's detection risk. That's the risk that the practitioner's own tests and procedures also miss the mistake. Their entire strategy is designed to drive that last one, detection risk, down to almost zero.
So, after all that work, the planning, the skepticism, the risk assessment, it all comes down to the final report. This is the moment of truth. This is where the practitioner communicates their conclusion and, just as importantly, the level of confidence you can have in it.
And you have to know, not all assurance is created equal. The highest level is called reasonable assurance. That's what you get from a full audit. It's a high level of confidence, and it's stated positively. In our opinion, these numbers are fair. But then there's limited assurance, which is what you'd get from a review. It's a moderate level of confidence, and listen to the careful wording here. It's a negative phrasing. Nothing has come to our attention. That subtle shift in language tells you it was a less intense exam, and you should have a different level of certainty.
The opinion itself can also come in a few different flavors. An unmodified opinion, that's the clean bill of health, the gold star everyone wants. A qualified opinion is mostly good, but it's flagging a specific issue. It's like saying, everything looks good except for this one thing. An adverse opinion is a huge red flag. That means the practitioner thinks the information is seriously misleading. And a disclaimer? That means they couldn't get enough info to even form an opinion, which is its own kind of red flag.
Okay, let's pull it all together now. This final comparison should really help clarify the whole landscape of professional services and how all these ideas we've talked about fit together.
Honestly, this table is the ultimate cheat sheet. Look at the two columns on the left, audit and review. Both are assurance services. Notice that for both, independence is required. That's non-negotiable. But see the difference? An audit gives you high assurance and that positive opinion. A review gives you moderate assurance and that carefully worded negative conclusion. Now, look to the right. Agreed upon procedures and compilations are non-assurance. There's no assurance given at all. The professional is just reporting facts or organizing data. And, critically, independence isn't required. Understanding the spectrum is key. So the next time you pick up a company's financial report, you won't just see numbers on a page. You'll understand this whole invisible framework of professionals, standards, and risk analysis that's there to give those numbers credibility. You'll know to flip to the back, find the auditor's report, and understand what their opinion truly means. So the real question is, now that you know the framework of trust, how will that change the way you see things?